Well, my dear friends, I still have a frog in my throat. I guess my Irish or Welsh ancestors or English ancestors passed that down. You know that saying, I have a frog in my throat? I think it's due to allergies, it really is. I remember years ago, okay, never mind, we don't want to hear about years ago. It's not important. Okay. Yeah, I'll not share that right now. Maybe it's not relevant. Wouldn't you like to see a video of me? I just saw this beautiful young British lady, and I thought, my goodness, she's just so authentic, isn't she? Like, I don't want to see myself on video. I don't. Back in the day, folks, we used to have photography studios. They would be really, really, I don't know, they would come in, they'd bring in professional photographers to take your school picture. Sometimes the photographers got fatigued and you would come out with a really bad school picture. And my hair, sometimes it would look great. When my mother got me a page boy haircut, that looked so beautiful. That was popular in the 1970s because I had this baby fine hair. But if you knew how to work with it, you could make it into a pretty page boy haircut. Well, the last time I went to a hair cutting professional, it was during COVID, and she cut off so much of my hair. I'm never going back. I'm sorry, because I know you're going to make me look like an old lady again. It's like, I don't want to look like a lesbian or an old lady. There's nothing wrong with having short hair. I'm sorry. Like, if you're a lesbian and you want to have short hair, that's your choice. It's like, I am not choosing not to have long hair. Well, you're a white person. Can't all white people dye their hair blonde and grow it really long? No, you're wrong. Yeah. But anyway, here I was talking. I didn't mean to get into this whole diatribe about hair. My parents had the 8-track hair, and I listened to every single track. When I'm left alone too much, this is what happens. I listen to my parents' 8-tracks. My parents are out dining, maybe going to like a pub or a place like that. I mean, they never got into bar fights, but they definitely would only patronize establishments that served alcohol. And they didn't always want their daughter tagging along. When I was old enough to be left alone, I listened. I even listened to 33 RPMs, like The Doors. I even got the record. I dusted off the record player and the needle and made sure that I could get the needle on the proper groove so that it wouldn't scratch the record, because you don't want to do that. Don't jump up and down when you're playing a 33 RPM, because you're gonna make the needle skip and it's gonna scratch the record and it's gonna be like duh, duh. That's why they say a broken record when somebody just keeps repeating themselves, like it just keeps skipping a duh, a duh, a duh. Okay, see, these are things you're missing out on when you never talk to your mother. It's a little bit sad, but I'm smiling because I'm just delighted at this young lady. She's English. She's a former witch. I'm like, really? You're a former witch? She just has this spunkiness about her. It's like, that was kind of weeded out of our family. Like, genetically, we were so wimped down. Like, but there's something about you that I recognize in myself. And it's just like, wow, so surprised. I didn't watch the whole video. Of course I didn't watch the whole video. I'm waiting for my other video to upload, so I had to record this while I'm waiting for my video to upload. Because I thought I wanted to say something important. She's saying something important to her. I'm saying something important to me. If I hog the Wi-Fi watching her entire video, I watched enough. I got your drift, sister. I got it. You can always learn from people that you might even have dismissed in the past. Did you ever watch that movie called The Master of Disguise, starring Dana Carvey of Saturday Night Live fame? Well, I used to show that to my kids because it's a little silly, but this guy, like when he's a little kid, he starts imitating people's accents, and my husband is kind of like that. He can imitate people's accents, and he's kind of rubbed off on me after all these years. But it's never meant It's never meant to be mean. They say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. My dad would do the same thing. And so sometimes my husband would kind of imitate British people. Okay, I can't tell you, but maybe he doesn't mind. Like how some British people in the north of England, they might have an F instead of a TH at the end of the word. You can stereotype people, you can see them as caricatures, you can watch old sitcoms from across the pond, but this is an authentic person. I feel like I am so blessed. I know the internet and social media are a mixed bag. Some might say a double-edged sword. Like you don't want the sword to hurt you. You want to just cut through the crap, right? It's like I'm seeing people as human beings, not as they portrayed them in a movie or on a sitcom. I'm seeing people for themselves. The authenticity is so wonderful. So do you forgive me for not appearing on camera? As I was saying, well, back in the day, when you were a family and you were proud of your family, you would go to the Olin Mills portrait studio, for example, and they would take the time to have the right lighting. They would capture many poses until they just got the right one, right? Sometimes it worked out, but when they started putting them in grocery stores, that's the last time I think we had a family portrait taken. I said, we all look kind of unhealthy and hillbilly. I don't know. There's nothing. It just didn't look good. Well, maybe it's because you were. I don't know. Maybe. But don't label people with names like that. Even though my husband does have Appalachian roots, I don't have any Appalachia in me. Personally, you cannot call me a hillbilly. Born in Cleveland, Ohio. That's as far away from hillbilly as you can get. Okay? That's all I'm saying. But Olin Mills, I remember I could show you a picture, but my baby brother and me, such a warm, fuzzy picture, to kind of, I guess they kind of use like fuzziness to kind of disguise, to kind of hide the frizziness of my hair. Because I remember when I had neighborhood friends before my parents' divorce, I would go out and play with them, and I would brush my hair rigorously. And they said, Erica, your hair is messy. I said, I just brushed it like 10 minutes ago. Why is it messy again? I was like, because you've got this baby fine hair. Are they going to bring back girls having short hair like in the 1980s when it was sexy and feminine to have short hair? I would love it. But you notice I'm not holding my breath. On the positive side, when I was pregnant, my hair would grow wonderfully. It must have been the hormones in my system. I thought, after I had one of my last children that, I can just grow it back. I'll just cut it and it'll grow just like it did when I was pregnant. No. That's why I do like the bun. You may not like the bun. The bun for me is very, if it comes from China or from the samurai, I don't care. I like the bun. Because how many times did I agonize over my hair? In the 1980s, you could spray your hair stiff and frizzy hair was in. Now, well, please. If you abuse your hair, it's just going to fall out. It is. I remember one time I walked into the mall. I don't know, sometime when I was in my 30s, I can't remember. And this person's trying to sell you this steaming thing that straightens your hair. And of course, they spotted somebody with terribly frizzy hair. Oh, we have to help them. We have to help them show how their hair can be straight with our product. And when my hair was straightened, it looked like I had almost no hair because it's genetics. It's good to have the frizzy hair. Because I had thick hair when I was pregnant, but when I'm not pregnant, I, just don't have the thick hair. I'm not bald, thank God for that. But they only straightened like a portion of my hair. They said, okay, well, thanks for letting us demonstrate this on you. And they're like, I can't believe she looks worse after we used it. See? You always judge, you always point fingers, you always judge. In the 1960s, women could wear wigs, and even in the 70s, they could wear wigs. Now, if you wear a wig, you probably, well, you get a weave, right? But the weave can make actually your natural, you get hair extensions, it can make your natural hair fall out. And I have this baby fine hair. I do use a hairbrush, but I don't brush it the way they recommended in the Laurel Ingalls Wilder books, like 100 strokes every night, you got to brush your hair out. All my hair would fall out if I brushed my hair 100 strokes every night. And what I have to do, because every time I even run my fingers through my hair, some of my hair is going to break off. It's going to break off. And I've done everything I could. Like, I've taken vitamins. It might improve things if I took the right vitamins. I agree. Take collagen, do all that, whatever. But, my life is not, my existence is not wrapped up in my hair. I do the best I can with my hair. And, as for the blondness thing, I mean, a question on Reddit, well, can't all white people just go blonde? I'm really stunned that Asian people and black people can go blonde and look fine, but I could never be successfully a blonde. My mother could successfully be a blonde. In her later years, she became a very successful blonde lady, and she always went to a really nice hairdresser. I mean, her hair was lovely. But I tried to go to a place like a spa type place, like an upper class place, because I didn't want them to just chop off all my hair like they do other places. I said, I really want to be blonde. Can you help me? She says, well, blonding is going to be a gradual process. So basically, that they use all the hairdressers' tricks. They abuse your hair. They just fry it with a hair dryer. And it's doing damage to your fine hair. But it looks good when you walk out. It looks sleek. It looks straight. I have wavy baby fine hair. Wavy baby fine hair. It's kinky. Like, if you look at the difference, if you examine hair types under a microscope, you see that wavy hair is actually flat. So it's like, I don't know. I'm not saying God did it. I'm saying these are my genetics. I have to live with my genetics. I have to live with the fact that I don't have enough teeth. I wasn't born with all my adult teeth, and that baby teeth fell out and there's nothing to fill them in. Baby teeth fall out in your 40s. And it's like, well, there's no adult teeth and insurance won't pay for you to get, your dentures. So you have to buy, something, an appliance. So don't blame the British I do blame the British. They're probably the reason, because I have too much British ancestry. That's why I have bad teeth. It came from my mom's side of the family. Aha, you see? It came from your mom's side of the family. Because my father's side of the family is from Germany and from the mainland, not from the islands, okay? Okay, but that having been said, I walked out of that spa salon and she had made my hair I know it was like a gradual process, blonding. She had made it so muddy, it looked like pond water. No. Water that you would see in a pothole. You know what I'm saying? Or even pond water is green. But, like just dirty water. Didn't even look like dirty blonde. It was just kind of really squirrels in the United States, right? Most of them are gray squirrels. God love the squirrels, but they use their unremarkable fur color to blend in with their surroundings. And I just felt so drab. I felt so depressed. I had walked out of that beauty salon I had paid like $60 for this whole thing. And we went to like a local restaurant, my husband and I felt that I was not, I'm sorry, but women notice if men are giving them admiring glances. Of course, I'm still in my 30s, I think. Nobody's looking at me. I felt like this was supposed to make me beautiful. Nobody's looking at me. I look so incredibly drab. And the very next day, I just dyed my hair black. I'm like, if I can't go blonde, then I'm just going to go black. So please, somewhere in my ancestry, somebody had black hair. So you don't know. I have tried to dye my hair blonde in the past, and it never ever gets to that beautiful platinum color that I wanted to. Even the professionals can't do it in one session, unless maybe if you go to Hollywood or something, but come on. You know, I just decided I like to have the red hair. Because I always admired red hair. Like Rubens would paint, not that I like the nudity, but he would paint these beautiful ladies with flaming red hair and creamy white skin. And I thought, that's just so beautiful. I love that. And so when I grade, as you get older, if you dye your hair dark and black, it's going to make you look like an old person. So you want to do something to kind of like pep it up. Well, I can't get blonde highlights. It's like it's going to be yellow highlights because I have too much. Actually, if you try to lighten my hair, the natural hair color, it turns a little bit reddish if you just try to lighten it. Okay. Because there's too much red in my hair. There's too much Irish. You cannot blonde it up. You cannot. I don't know. I don't know why I have this red hair, this red kinky hair. But actually my mom used to say, it's a beautiful chocolate brown. You should really love your hair. And then I had a daughter that has, hair that's her hair color. It's kind of like, it's not blonde and it's not brown. It's just in between. That's great for her. But, I think about my daughters. They could so easily become so glamorous and blonde, but they never would do it, would they? Would never listen to their mother. It would be so easy for you to go blonde. It'd be so easy. You could do something I could never do, but they won't do it because whatever. So I started to dye my hair red. Now, I'm very cognizant of what's happening in the culture, folks. I'm not an ostrich with my head buried in the sand. I know somehow red hair is associated with, what is that, LGBTQ. Yeah, right. And I know there's plus and everything like that. Okay. I liked it, and sometimes I actually got like little tiny hair pieces that I could put on the top of my natural hair to just kind of like fortify my hair. Just a little tiny hair piece, be easy to put it on. Like if you're appearing in a wedding or a dance recital, I would order those and people would say, I really love your hair. I really admire it. But then I kind of knew at the same time, people are just assuming that I'm gay or something. Or that I'm a Christian. I just like red hair. So recently, it's not, my hair is still going to be red. But it's just not going to be as bright red. It's not going to be, because I know that's sending a message, and that message has been received. But I have to share something really sad with you. Because I had a son that had this beautiful blonde hair. He just cut it all off after we had an argument, and I never brought it up with him because I'm really sad about it. Well, he started saying, because I have red hair or something, like he's saying like, I want to be in part of the LGBTQ community. Believe me, if I wanted, it'd be very easy for me to do so. I never wanted that in my life. People sometimes showed interest, a few times, but I never wanted that at all. Not at all. And then so I got kind of hot, having the temper that I have, I said, well, okay, Goldilocks, why are you saying that about me? And then he, a few days later, I find out he's cut off his beautiful hair. I feel terrible about that. Yet That was, he's an adult. He made the decision to do it. I never told him to cut off his hair. It's just because when people were ganging up on me, people taller than me, people younger than me, ganging up on me, being violent, I'm not being defended, it's a verbal gang up, I'm not being defended by the significant other who remains in the background, shall we say. It's not right to gang up on your mother. I'm not pleased on many things, but I'm not. I mean, I can't even tell you what he said because it's just so insulting. But, I just forgive everybody. But, this issue with hair, why do we make such a big deal out of it? Why is it okay I've seen many African American women, or shall we say Black American women, that have just this beautiful hair, just beautiful, beautiful long hair. Well, a lot of that might have been bought from the Philippines, but if that's what they like, then let them have it. As for me, I'm happy with the top knot thing that's going on. It's like, it might be kind of expensive to get, the weaves or the extensions, and you have to have maintenance, and it'd be very expensive. And, just white people just don't do that. And they just don't, It's like, it's not really part of my culture to do that. It's because it's like, yeah, I know I could have it done, but knowing what I do know, hair extensions will make your natural hair fall out. Isn't it better just to treat your hair gently? When I was a little baby, I was incredibly bald, and my mother was worried that my hair would never grow in. And then when I was about 4 years old, it seemed that my hair wasn't growing long the way she wanted to be, long and lustrous. I'm her little Barbie doll to play with. I want my daughter to be beautiful. Well, this hairdresser told her what she really should do is just keep cutting it really short, and that'll help it grow in thicker. And so my kindergarten picture, see, this all ties in with the studio photography. My kindergarten picture, I look like a little boy in a dress, a very well-mannered, pleasant little boy, smiling, miserable underneath. You dressed me in a dress, but I really was a girl. And my parents took me to a restaurant, and it was really embarrassing because in the 70s, you wore pants. Girls wore pants, boys wore pants. I'm still wearing pants today. I like pants. I will wear dresses sometimes and skirts. I have nothing against them, but pants are fairly practical for us. So I'm going to this restaurant. I'm just this 4 or 5-year-old little girl. I'm sorry, I don't know the exact date. It's around in the Cleveland, Ohio area before we moved away. And this lady, this older lady, comes up to me and says, "What a handsome little boy you are." I'm like, "I'm a girl. I'm a girl." It's terrible. So terrible. So, the young English lady with the glasses was talking about the Pharisee spirit. And we judge people because of their hair. I have to say, I'm not really a fan of a lady that just walks around bald. At least you might want to put a scarf on it or something, or a hat, Like, I'm just walking, it's just, to me, it's a little bit, it's sending a hostile vibe. To me, and I know you'd be the kind of person that get really angry if I ever said that to your face. But, just to shave your head bald, are you Lex Luthor or something? Like, what the heck, Like, really, he's like a villain from Superman. But people that have good hair, well, my goodness, more power to them. Just use your hair for good, not for evil. This is the end. If you've reached the end, you get a medal. Well, good for you. You're storing up treasure in heaven. Thanks so much for listening. Adios.